one of these has a SoC and one of them does not. Either of them are fine, a little pricey, but not as pricey as an all-gold lawn gnome ornament or Shaquille O'Neal's first edition mixtape. What's going on, everybody? This is Stubbs from Retro Handhelds. Today we have for you the Kinhank Arcade Console and Stick Review. While we did buy the CPU version, the arcade stick only version was sent to us as a review unit. Okay, and let's dive right in. In the box, we have got a HDMI cable, USB-C cable, we've got a charger, and a USB-C adapter. Very nice. Okay, we have the actual unit itself here and an instruction manual. Very interesting. Okay, let's get this plastic off and all the buttons, and let's get it off the body itself. This is kind of tough. We might need tweezers for this. Oh well. All right, let's take a look at the differences between the two. So this is just the arcade stick, as you can see, just the USB-C port. And this has the full SoC and the array of input outputs here. Be aware that if you go to buy one of these, that you're buying the one that has the actual SD card inside of it. That one is the full CPU. The other one is simply the arcade stick. If you are going to get a standalone arcade stick though, I would get something like this 8-bit do. It has wireless. The buttons aren't quite as tactile and good feeling though as these Kinhank, which are similar to the Sanwa buttons I have here. These feel great. Let's swap these into the 8-bit do and see what they feel like. We take out our handy dandy screwdriver, which I got from Mr. Seven Hands. It's great, has a flashlight, very helpful. And okay, it's time to pop the case open. This was very easy, didn't need a spudger or guitar pick, anything, and it just comes right out. This is where the disclaimer is, where I have never done this before. I am brand new to these arcade sticks, so we are going to learn on the go together. I assume we need to take out this power. Okay, that's good. Let's remove the connector here from the button. All right, that comes out, and let's use the screwdriver to push those tabs in so we can actually pop the button out. All right, we got it out. Pop that off. That's a little tough. Let's get this Sanwa button in here. It's green. It should do okay. Ooh, satisfying snap. But I kind of want the yellow in there instead to match the front face buttons they have on the top left. So let's get that into P Stubbs OCD. Oh, and while we're at it, look, that's not quite lined up right, is it? So let's get the yellow in there, and we need to line it up to where those tabs are on the back. All right, lined up. Got that in. That's going to work just fine. Now let's get these connectors back on. It doesn't seem to matter which way they go. Okay, we got all of our buttons swapped out here. I like doing a little multicolor. We're going to get that power connector back on and put it back together. We're good. Feels good. Hey, now let's try out some gameplay. This feels just like the Kinhank, and now let's try out some gameplay. So this is feeling really good. It's feeling very tactile, and RetroArch recognized it right away. So much better feeling than the stock buttons. 8-bit do has wireless, of course, so we have the 2.4 gigahertz adapter, and we can swap that to Bluetooth if we want. In comparison, the Kinhank only has a plug-in option, but that should be fine for our purposes. And unfortunately, RetroArch is not recognizing the controller right off the bat, so, okay, there's a switch here. We need to change that actually to X input mode. Hold down this button right there. And there we go. Look, it's recognized, and we are ready to play some Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting. Boom! Shakalaka. Yay. Okay, now let's compare the two together. So now we have the Kinhank and the 8-bit do. The buttons feel very similar. I would say these Sanwa switches feel just a little bit better. Joysticks themselves, though, both feel really good in the hand here. Both glide smoothly and pivot to all directions very well. 8-bit do maybe feels a little bit better to me, but it's so hard to tell. An L3, R3 there is nice and tactile on the Kinhank, while not at all on the 8-bit do. But let's move on. Let's go ahead and drop in some of those Sanwa switches in the Kinhank here. We're gonna use our trusty Mr. Seven Hands. We actually need to pull these feet up, so that'll pull that off, and then you get access to the other 4 screws in here. And use our spudger to get that out. That is really tight. Here we go. Okay. Of course, we got the power wire down there. That looks a little suspect with the super glue on there. I don't know about this. I'm gonna try to pop this out without breaking it. All right, let's pull that out. Carefully, wiggle, wiggle, and look at this. We have broken it. I just pulled that out, and it disconnected the bottom joint from the PCB board. That is broken. This is busted. That is ripped out. Look, that's where it used to be. No good. All right, you know what? It's not all for naught. Let's pull these out and put these nice tactile L3, R3 into the 8-bit do and harvest these buttons. Oh, and we snapped that right off there. That snapped just right clean off. So that is a useless button. That is a garbage button. Let's put that back in here. Maybe it'll be good for the kids to use. Here, put the L3 back in. My final thoughts on this are 2 Cheetos out of 10. And let's see what we have on offer for that CPU version here. Okay, so for the console, we have that AM Logic S905L. We see that a lot in Android TV boxes. GPU, we have that ARM Mali 450 MP3. And storage, we have a 64, 128, or 256 gigabyte SD card option. Be sure to check out which one you're getting. They come with various amounts of legally gray area ROMs on there. Unless you get the one that says no games, that means that's going to be just the arcade stick. Again, just the arcade stick and not the full console here. Let's take a look at the back of the CPU version here. So we have an HDMI, we have a USB-A, we have a micro SD slot. Let's take that sticker out. Let's void warranties. AV spot, Ethernet port, power switch, DC power, and USB-C. Let's put that power cable in there, and okay, let's boot her up. Ooh, we have a nice version of Emulation Station here, FinalBurn Neo. Let's get right into Hyper Fighting Street Fighter 2. Launches with that Kinhank logo, running on EmuElec. And we're using our 8-bit do actually as a plugged-in controller here. Let's see what else we got. Amiga favorites, Super Graphics, Super Nintendo, SG-1000, Sega CD, PlayStation. And let's go down to my favorite PlayStation fighting game, and that's gonna be all the way to Tekken 2. Okay, we are getting great frame rates here, no noticeable lag or issues. It plays really nice. Moving on over to PSP, we have Street Fighter Alpha 3 here, playing really nice. A little bit of weird artifacting happening, but I could probably mess with that in settings. Another game for PSP, Super Crash. Never heard of this game. It is ridiculous. Runs fine. Let's move over to N64. We have Mario Kart 64. It's playing pretty nice for us here. Nice, tight, and responsive controls, no noticeable latency or input lag. All in all, really solid on N64. Moving on over to Dreamcast, we have Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and this is playing like a dream. Again, no slowdown. I found Dreamcast to be just very solid through and through. Let's move on to Nintendo DS. So, touch to start. Nope. We use the joystick here, of course. All right, so we're playing a little bit of Mario 64 on DS, and this is actually playing really well. While the controls aren't very intuitive, since you don't have the touchscreen, it is serviceable. Lastly, let's try MAME, and that's just gonna error right out, isn't it? Yep, that happens sometimes on some of these. And this last arcade game is called Turtle Ship, a shmup. I've never played this before, but I'm shooting, I assume to be turtles at everything. And there's bad guys coming at me. Oh, controls feel good though. This feels real nice. Overall, I've been really impressed with the performance in the Kinhank, but let's move into the settings here. So we have your standard EmuElec settings here. You can change the aspect ratio, you can change your video mode if you want, change those bezels out, mess with the latency options, pair a controller, remap controls, put on themes, do updates, turn on Wi-Fi, and just shut it down because we're done with game testing. So now it's time to wrap this bad boy up. So is the Kinhank worth buying? Well, let's go over what we've learned. The Kinhank Arcade Console and Stick has been a joy to use, minus the fact that I ran into some issues and broke a few things, but I still had a great time. I love the nostalgic look of the thing too. Let's dig into our likes and dislikes. Right off the bat, I gotta say, man, I love the tactile feel and travel of those buttons, and the joystick is a breeze to use. It's precise and also just very smooth to play on. Another thing that I'm really enjoying on this is the solid performance you're getting up to PSP and Dreamcast. You're unfortunately not really going to be emulating something like God of War very well, but most PSP games I tried worked fairly well, Dreamcast as well. You know, it's going to be that classic S905L performance. We see these in a lot of Android TV boxes. Not too much to complain about there. I mean, again, really, the performance is just all around solid. I like that it can be a controller, so actually you can plug this in and control like your PlayStation, your Switch, other retro handhelds maybe, really whatever you want. You can use it as a controller, and I think that's a lot of fun. So you can use this as an arcade stick. Also, you can plug in a controller to it, so you can plug in other arcade sticks, you can plug in just regular old controllers, other 8-bit controllers, and use that on the arcade stick as a second player. The multiplayer options here are pretty awesome. Also, the size and weight are really nice feel in the hands. It's nice and solid, so your kids aren't going to knock it over when you're playing with them. And again, playing multiplayer on this with your kids or with friends or family is just awesome. That's one thing that I love about these arcade sticks. Coming new to this, I wasn't sure what to expect, but I was pleasantly surprised at what you can do with these days. I'm so used to just a controller, but it's nice to have the option. Speaking of options, the stock OS is pretty good, but I'm sure you can load on Batacera or other Linux distributions there and enjoy some other options. The EmuElec one they have built in, I'm pretty familiar with at this point, and you can scrape your artwork, get all your good stuff. I'm a fan of it. I really have no complaints. I thought it was well implemented. Let's get on to our dislikes, though. So, the quality control issues. Yeah, obviously I snapped off the back of the button there, and I also snapped the power. When I was carefully maneuvering, it looked wonky to begin with, and it was just really a bummer. But also, you know, performance, well, good. It's not great. It doesn't play GameCube, PS2, sort of these latest systems that we're used to in 2022. So that could be an improvement there. Also, the price on Ali, while okay, $100 for just the stick, up to $150 for the 256 gigabyte console. It's a little pricey for what it is, and Amazon is even higher. It goes all the way up to the near 200 range for that 256 gigabyte. So just be aware, not only that, but the non-console version there is not clearly advertised. So it's hard to tell when you're a consumer and buying if you buy one with no games, that means you're going to get just a stick, no SoC. So be aware, an annoyance. There's too many random games. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of games, but you're never going to play all of them. Many of them I'm not familiar with, and some of them just plain don't work. They just don't start, and it doesn't seem like they've been thoroughly tested. A couple of fixes we'd recommend here for Kinhank would be, again, focus on that performance. Would love to get a better chip in here for the next revision. Maybe we can play some PS2, some GameCube, better quality control. So if I open up the unit, I'm not going to immediately just have everything go wrong. It's pretty common, I understand, for people to swap out these switches and these buttons. And so being able to easily do that, I think, is very, very important in these sorts of arcade sticks. So please work on that quality control process for the next time. Also, clearly label those listings. Those listings need to say, this is only an arcade stick. It does not play video games in and of itself. That is very, very important. Lower price on that non-console version. You may be better served with an 8-bit do or similar controller if you're paying $100 for just a controller. That brings us to a final score of 7 out of 11 Cheetos. If you're interested in purchasing one of these, we have one available in our description via our affiliate link. Is this one you're going to pick up? Do you like it, or is it flaming hot Cheeto garbage? Please do let us know. Now, having said all that, I do recommend it, and I think it's worth a buy. The console version, let's be specific here. The arcade stick only needs to come down in price. Like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching.